Moving is a lot. Whether it's your first time moving to a new home or you've moved 10 different times, it doesn't stop being difficult. Moving takes a lot of organization, a lot of planning, and a lot of general chaos. But there are some things you can do to make things a little bit easier. And today I am sharing my top 20 tips to help you make your move as seamless and simple as possible. Is it gonna be easy? Absolutely not. Is it going to be easier than it would be if you didn't know these tips? Absolutely yes. As you can see, I'm in the middle of a move too, and so I am doing all that I can to make this as simple as possible, and I'm going to share my best tips and tricks with you today. The first little section of tips I'm going to talk about I like to call work smarter, not harder, and these are the tips that are all about how to set yourself up for success from the very beginning. Tip number 1. Start earlier than you think and make a master list. Now, you don't have to start packing everything the moment you find out that you're moving. That's gonna end up just being annoying for you in the long run. But there is no reason you cannot start packing things before you even have a house that you're moving to or before you put your house on the market. When we were prepping to put this house on the market, I spent a ton of time packing up things that we don't use all that often. Seasonal decor, seasonal clothing, stuff that we could live without for a few months so that our home was already a little bit decluttered. It makes it look nicer for showings and it makes your life easier whenever it's actually time to move. As soon as you do know your date, you can start packing the things that you don't use on a day-to-day basis right away. You don't want to pack too fast because you still want your home to feel like a home right up until it's time to move. But think about those things that you can live without for a little bit, and if you can go ahead and get them packed, do it sooner rather than later. Second up, I like to create a little moving command center. Think about all the things that you need to make your packing a little bit easier and make sure that you have plenty of them and they're all in one space. Grab a big old 6-pack of packing tape, get a few different Sharpies, get a packing tape dispenser, and keep them all in one space so that whenever you are ready to pack a box, you know exactly where to find it. I find that if I have to go searching all around my house for the things that I need to get started packing, it makes it so much harder to get motivated to pack. But if it's all in one spot, better yet, in a basket or a box where I can just grab it and take it where I need to go, it makes my life so much easier and I am a lot more likely to pack a box here or there whenever I have a few small minutes. Tip number 3, and this is maybe the most important thing you're gonna hear from me all day, declutter while you pack. I could talk about this all day long, but I promise you it is gonna make your life so much easier both now and later if you work on decluttering as you're packing. Sometimes it's tempting to go through and declutter your entire house before you start packing, but really you're just doubling the amount of work you have to do because you've got to touch everything in your house to do both of those things. So as you're packing, ask yourself, is this something I really need? Is this something I really want to take with me to a new house? And if the answer is no, get rid of it. This allows you to slowly declutter over time and not get burnt out on the cluttering, and it also makes the process so much faster, and you're a lot more likely to get rid of more things if you're doing it while you're packing. I'm not sure why, but there is something about putting things in boxes that's so annoying that it makes you want to just get rid of all the stuff instead. Tip number 4, as soon as you know that you are moving, start using up those pantry and freezer staples. There are very few things on this planet more annoying than moving food from one kitchen to another kitchen, so as much as you can, just get rid of it. It will allow you to save some money on groceries now because you're going to be eating through all the stuff that you already have, and it gives you a chance to start fresh when you get to the new house. It requires a little bit of planning and thinking ahead on your meals, but it is so worth it. Saves you on groceries while you're in the middle of a very expensive move and makes your life a little bit easier whenever it's time to move. There's no downside here. Tip number 5 is one I just recently discovered, and it can be really helpful if you're feeling overwhelmed by all of the to-dos, and that is that you can ask ChatGPT to help you make a moving plan. Listen, I don't like to rely on AI too much to help me plan my life. I feel like it's probably going to take over the world one of these days, and it scares me a little bit, but it can be a great tool. Sit down and tell ChatGPT exactly what you want. Maybe you just want a general overview of where to get started, or maybe you want a detailed day-by-day packing checklist. It can give you either one of those in just seconds. Tell it how many rooms you have, how many square feet your home is, and a general idea of how much stuff you're dealing with and what your biggest pain points are. You can print your list out and put it on the fridge and have the whole family work on it over time. It's gonna make your life a little bit easier, and you don't have to spend hours slaving over it anymore, which really is a pretty big perk. Now let's talk about the actual packing process and some of my tips and tricks for keeping that organized. When I'm packing, I like to work room by room. I make a big old list of all of the spaces that I need to work on, and I like to do it in 2 phases. So phase 1 is when we're packing all of our non-essentials. I like to pack those things early. Then I go through a second time, and that's whenever we're really packing. Like we're leaving next week and it's time to get the rest of this out of here, kind of packing. I recommend making a big list of all of the spaces in your home and doing it in 2 phases. It helps keep you organized, it helps break it down into bite-sized chunks and makes the whole thing feel a little bit less intimidating. While you're packing, there are a few different ways that you can keep your boxes organized. I personally like to keep it really simple and just label them with Sharpies. Some people like to color code their boxes with different colored tape or different colored Sharpies to make it really easy to see where it needs to go. I don't really mess with that because as soon as I get to the house, I'm gonna start unpacking stuff right away anyway, so it doesn't really matter how quickly it gets to the right space for me. I just make sure to label where they go on both the top and on one of the sides of the box, and I make sure to note if a box is fragile. I guess this tip is to know yourself and keep it as simple as you need to keep it. You don't need to spend $100 on different color fancy tape for your boxes when you could just write it with a black Sharpie and take an extra second to look at it. I don't really think it saves you that much time in the end, but if it makes you feel better and makes the process feel a little less intimidating for you, then go for it. This is another one of those tips that might be the most important thing you get out of this video, and that is to pack 1 or 2 essentials boxes. These are the things that you're gonna use on the first few nights that you live in the house that you absolutely do not wanna go searching for in a frenzy at the end of a moving day. For example, toilet paper. You're gonna need access to that pretty quickly. A shower curtain. If your home doesn't already have shower curtains, you're gonna get to the end of that first day and there's gonna be nothing you want more than a hot shower. But if you have not packed a shower curtain in an essentials box, you're not gonna be able to take one. Think about all of the things that you use on a daily basis that you absolutely would not be able to live without, and you would be tearing through boxes to find them, and make sure that those things get packed separately. My plan is even to get a completely separate reusable tote to put these sorts of things in so they have no chance of getting mixed in with the other boxes and they're super easy to spot. For me, it's gonna include things like my sound machine, my bedding, my kids' bedding, toilet paper, paper towels, paper plates, things that we're going to reach for almost immediately upon moving in. I'm gonna pack those things completely separately, and I'm gonna make sure that they are super easy to grab when we get to the new house. My next tip is not to pack empty space. Here's what I mean by that. You have got tons of drawers in your house, in your dressers, in your nightstands. You also probably have things like baskets and pots and pans and slow cookers and all of these vessels that have empty space. Utilize it. You will save on boxes if you will pack things in your baskets. You don't need to take the clothes out of the drawers. You can just saran wrap them. Or if you're moving a short distance like we are, you can just throw the drawers directly in the back of your car and call it a day. It doesn't need to be that complicated, and you don't have to take stuff out of one container just to put it into another container. As you're packing your pots and pans, you can throw your spice jars in there. As you grab your slow cooker, toss in a bunch of kitchen towels or even some utensils. Whatever you can do to make things a little bit easier and not waste space is gonna save you on boxes and honestly just make the whole process a little simpler. My next tip is to make sure that you designate a couple of clean zones in your house when you're packing. What do I mean by this? Well, we move in about 3 weeks, and my great room, meaning my living room, dining room, and kitchen, look pretty much exactly the same as they did when we started packing. I wanna make sure that there are some spaces in my home that still feel like home. It's not gonna take me that long to take the things off the shelves and take the decor off the walls, but it makes the house still feel like home in the process. All of our boxes as we're packing them have either gone in the garage or in my closet. As we get a little bit closer, things are gonna spill out a little bit more, but make sure that you have a few spaces in your home that are designated as safe spaces that are gonna feel like home right up until the very last second. This is especially important if you have kids to help them feel some sense of normalcy as you get closer and closer to this big life-changing event. My next tip is as you're taking furniture apart and prepping for things to go into the moving box, make sure to save yourself some sanity later and keep all the hardware together. It sounds like a small thing, but it's really easy to forget in the heat of the moment. If you're taking the bed apart and you have a bunch of little screws and nuts and bolts, put them in a Ziploc bag and tape them directly to the bed. Don't let them get lost in the shuffle and then have to search through all of your boxes to find them whenever it's time to reassemble. If you don't feel great about taping it directly to the furniture piece, just put it in a Ziploc bag and label that, then put all of those in one place so they're really, really easy to find. You're gonna save yourself a lot of headaches if you spend some time now thinking ahead to what it's gonna feel like when you get to that new house and how you can make future you a little bit seener. My next tip is if you have any really complicated setups that you really wanna replicate at your new home, take a photo of it. For example, if you have a really specific setup for your electronics and all the cords need to go just so, snap a photo. If you have a gallery wall that you love so much and you really want to be able to replicate it when you get to the new space, take a picture of it and save it and bring it with you. It's just one of those small things that's going to make life a little bit easier whenever you get to the new space and you're trying to figure out how to make it work. If you've been watching my moving vlogs, you've heard me say this before, but another one of my favorite tips is to use trash bags instead of garment boxes. I know it sounds silly, but people buy these big giant garment boxes. They take up so much room, they're so heavy and they're so awkward, and yes, they make life really easy because you can just take your hanging clothes, put them right on the hanger in the garment box and move it to the new house. But I know those things aren't cheap. They can be really, really big and bulky, and a trash bag is practically free and it's just as effective. What I like to do is poke a hole in the bottom of the trash bag and put all of the hangers through that. Then you pull the trash bag down over your clothing and tie it at the bottom. It's like a built-in garment bag. It's a little less durable, but it's way cheaper, takes up less space, and I think it works just as well. Throw those in the back of your car and then take them to the new house and hang your stuff up directly in the new house. As you're packing, one thing that's really important to consider is the size of your boxes and how heavy you're making them. It can be really tempting to grab the biggest box you've got and stuff it chock full of all of the stuff you can fit in there. But then when it's time to lift it, it's either gonna be really hard or it's just gonna break on you. Personally, I like to use either small or medium-sized boxes for the vast majority of my things, especially the heavy stuff. And I like to make sure that when I'm using a larger box, it's only for lighter things. Be sure to clearly label on the boxes which ones are heavy, because it's gonna make things a little bit easier as you go to lift them up. You can prepare yourself a little bit, and if you have anybody helping you, they're gonna know just by looking at it that it's a heavy box and they need to support the bottom of it. Speaking of boxes, one of my very, very favorite places to get free boxes is from the liquor store. Stop by your local liquor store, let them know you're moving, and just ask if they have any extra boxes or if they'd be willing to set any aside for you. I did this the last time we moved and I had so much luck with one of my liquor store owners. He was so kind. He let me stop in every few days and he'd have a little pile of boxes sitting waiting for me. Their boxes are super sturdy, they're the perfect size, and it saves you the headache of trying to track down or even buy moving boxes. Another place that I had really good luck with was Chick-fil-A. Their fry boxes are great for moving. Final category of tips is all about keeping the chaos manageable and making moving day as smooth and seamless as possible. The first tip here, if you have movers coming, make sure to make their life as easy as possible because it's gonna make your life easier and it's gonna save you money because they usually charge by the hour. If you have the ability to go ahead and disassemble furniture before they get there, go ahead and take care of it. Bring things downstairs if you can. Stage a specific area so that they know exactly where they need to be pulling stuff from and exactly where they don't need to be pulling stuff from. The easier and more clear that you can make it for those movers, the easier their job is gonna be and the faster they're gonna get it done. In our house, here's what that looks like. Currently, my garage is designated as a spot for all of the boxes the movers are going to be taking. Any boxes that I've packed that I plan on moving myself, I've been putting into my personal closet and I'm telling the movers they don't need to touch anything that's in there. On moving day, I'm gonna let them know that all of the boxes they need to grab are in the garage and then they need to grab all of the furniture from inside the house. If it is in the house, it's not in a box, I'm taking care of it. Don't worry about it. The only non-furniture items that you need to grab are going to be in the garage. It's gonna be super clear for them. They won't have to ask a ton of questions and it's gonna make their job go by a little bit faster. I also plan to go ahead and disassemble as much furniture as I can and bring some of it downstairs so that they have to take fewer trips up and down the stairs. Next tip is to plan ahead for food on moving day. This is one of those things that can be really easy to forget about, and then you get to moving day and everyone is hangry and no one knows what to do, and you end up having to make a run to the grocery store when that is the last thing you want to be doing. Instead, when you're about a week out from the move, go ahead and gather some snacks. Be sure to grab some extras for the movers so you can share with them Get some disposable water bottles to make everyone's life a little bit easier, and make a plan for what you'll be eating that day. Ordering pizza on your first night in the new house is almost a rite of passage, but if you aren't a pizza person, I still recommend maybe consider ordering takeout. There is no need to be trying to cook or even put together sandwiches on your first night in a new house. Another thing you might find helpful if you're feeling really overwhelmed by the move is to create a master brain dump list of all of those last minute tasks that you are sure to forget. For example, moving over your utilities, getting the internet set up, making sure to change the locks in your new home, making sure to leave all the keys for your old owner. As those things pop up in your brain in the weeks leading up to your move, write them all down. You can use a note in your phone, or you can have one piece of paper that you tape to the fridge, but just make a big master list of all those tiny little tasks that you don't want to forget, and then you can reference it as you're doing the punch list items after the move. I don't know about you, but half my panic during a move is always that I'm gonna forget something important, and I'm constantly thinking of things as we get close to the move, and then on the day of, everything leaves my brain and I just feel overwhelmed. If you have a big list ready to go, you're not gonna have that problem. You're gonna know exactly what you need to do, and you can make sure it all gets done. In addition to your first night boxes that we talked about earlier, on moving day, I want you to make sure that you have a mini toolkit ready to go. Things like a screwdriver, a drill, a hammer, a flashlight, box cutters, Allen wrenches, anything that you can think of that you might want to grab for really quick last minute fixes, or really quick first minute in the new house fixes that you're gonna just want quick access to. Go ahead and toss it in one box and have it set aside so that it's really easy to find. In addition to that, make sure you toss a couple of light bulbs in there, because the last thing you need on your first night in a new house is a run to Target for light bulbs, because the new house has had some burnout. My last tip is the most important one. If you hear nothing else in this entire video, I want you to hear this. If your move is completely and utterly chaotic, overwhelming, and so intense that you just want to quit, that means you're doing it right. That means it's normal, and that means there's nothing wrong. Moving is hard, it's overwhelming, and no matter how much planning and prepping and thinking and purchasing you do ahead of time, it's still gonna be a mess. It just is. That's part of the process. Embrace the chaos, tell yourself that everything is gonna be okay, and give yourself a little bit of grace. You got this. It's gonna be great when it's all over. You just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other.